Recording in progress.
Welcome, everyone. I am Tamara Blake Wallace, Planning Commission Administrator. This meeting will be conducted as a hybrid meeting, allowing for both virtual and in-person participation. Serving as moderator tonight is Lisa Shepard, our admin aide, who will now go over the rules and etiquette for tonight's meeting. Lisa?
Good evening, I'm Lisa Shepard, Administrative Aide in the Planning and Zoning Office, and I will be moderating this evening. This meeting is being recorded, both video and audio, for record-keeping purposes. For those attending virtually or on the phone, please keep yourself muted to ensure no interruptions to the evening. If you are asked to speak and you are attending on your phone, you can mute and unmute yourself by using the phone's designated mute button or by pressing *6. If you are on a computer, you can mute and unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone mute button on the toolbar in the bottom of your screen or wherever you have moved it. You can also mute and unmute by using keyboard shortcuts. In Windows, press Alt-A. In Mac, use Command-Shift-A. When questions or comments are requested of the public, those attending in person will be asked to speak first, and those attending virtually will speak after. If you are attending via phone and would like to ask a question or make a comment, when asked, please use the raise hand function, *9, and you will be called upon in turn to identify yourself for the record and speak. If you are attending virtually and would like to ask a question or make a comment, please go to the chat icon on your Zoom page and type your comment into that section. Finally, please say your name every time you speak for the benefit of those calling in who cannot see you.
Thanks, Lisa. We will now turn the meeting over to the chairman to begin.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Calvert County Planning Commission's February 15th, 2023 regular meeting. My name is Maria Bueller, and as chair of this board, we will begin with item 1 on the proposed agenda. Roll call. Vice Chair Kernan. We'll circle back.
Here.
Oh, there we go.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Freeland.
Here.
Commissioner Toohey.
Here.
Commissioner Dr. Holler.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Great. If you could all please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is item 3, action on the proposed agenda.
Commissioners, any changes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion by Commissioner Toohey.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Next on the agenda is item 4, action on the proposed summary of actions. Item A, January 18th, 2023 regular meeting.
Commissioners, any changes?
Motion to approve January 18th, 2023, the regular meeting.
I have
Second.
a motion by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Commissioner Toohey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next on the agenda is item 5, recognitions of persons attending the meeting. Tonight from Planning and Zoning, we have Mary Beth Cook, Director. Carolyn Sunderland, Deputy Director of Planning. Attending virtually, we have Judy Makel, Deputy Director of Zoning. We also have present Jenny Plummer-Welker, Long Range Planner. We have Rachel O'Shea, the Zoning Planner. Christopher Sperling, Historic Preservation Planner. Jay Cousineau, Planner 2. Jennifer David, Rural Planner 2. Jessica Gattano, Planner 2. Kathleen Lockwood, Planner 1. We have Becky Parkinson serving as our Planning Commission recording clerk tonight. And from the County Attorney's Office, we have John Mattingly serving as our legal counsel. And on to item number 6, major subdivisions for final review and action. We do not have any tonight. Item 7, applications for site plan review and action. We do not have any tonight. Item 8, major subdivision applications for preliminary review and action. We do not have any tonight. Item 9, long-range planning. Item A, Town Center Master Plan updates. Jenny?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
for the record, I'm attending virtually. Vice Chair Kernan.
Vice Chair Cronin is gonna take over. I'm gonna recuse myself for this because it pertains to the St. Leonard Town Center.
Greg, you can go when you're ready.
Thank you. Jenny, go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jenny Plummer-Welker, Long Range Planner with Calvert County Planning and Zoning. I'm joined this evening by Jessica Gaetano and Kat Lockwood of the Long Range Planning Team. I met with you last month to talk about the next master plan to consider for updating, and I asked that I return this month for you to make the decision. I'd like to note that Commissioner Jones had asked a question about whether the St. Leonard Elementary School was on public water. I did check with Chris Hall, the Division Chief for the Water and Sewer Division, and he confirmed yes, St. Leonard Elementary is served by the county's public water system.
Thank you, ma'am.
Certainly. I'd like to note that St. Leonard is one of 7 town centers under the Board of County Commissioners' control. There are actually 9 town centers, North Beach and Chesapeake Beach. The municipalities are considered town centers under the county's comprehensive plan. However, since they have their own planning and zoning authority, the commissioners do not have control over that. The town council and mayors have the control. Master plans were adopted for the 7 town centers from 1986 to 2002. The first master plan adopted was Solomon's in 1986, and then that one was updated. The Planning Commission recommended approval, and the Board of County Commissioners adopted that updated plan in 2009. The next 2 oldest town center master plans are Dunkirk and Prince Frederick, and county staff are currently working on updating those master plans. St. Leonard's first master plan was adopted in 1995 and then updated. The Planning Commission recommended approval, and the Board of County Commissioners adopted the updated plan in 2013. However, the zoning has not been updated for the St. Leonard Town Center, so that's one reason why we're recommending that St. Leonard be the next town center to be updated. Since it was recently updated, I don't see that there's going to be much change to that. The county's comprehensive plan, which was adopted in 2019 and recently amended in December 2022, retained the future expansion for St. Leonard, which was actually in the 2013 updated plan. So with taking St. Leonard next, we can update the plan, and then the zoning staff can follow with updating the zoning ordinance. And then the zoning would be consistent with the master plan at that point in time. I'd be glad to answer any questions, but that concludes my presentation, and I'm seeking the Planning Commission's vote to select St. Leonard as the next town to undergo the update process. Turning it back over to the Vice Chair.
He has not muted himself.
Thank you. Are there any questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes.
motion to accept staff's recommendation to make St. Leonard Town Center the next town center.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Freeland. Who did the second?
John Tui.
Tui, okay. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you,
someone
Jenny.
give Maria back to the room, please.
Commissioner Bueller will now take back over as chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Cronin.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, we have item B, proposed expansion of the Calvert County's historic Item 10, items for discussion and action, Historic District Designation Removal, Kent Millard Heritage House, HD 2017-01.
Good evening. Christopher Sperling, Planning and Zoning. Calvert County Code, Chapter 57, Historic Districts, specifically 57-8C and 57-9A, together with the Maryland Annotated Code, Land Use Article 8-101, and what follows, sets forth the criteria for procedures for removal of designation for historic districts. Ms. Harriet Millard, property owner, submitted a written petition and application to the Historic District Commission to remove the Historic District designation from the Kent Millard Heritage House Historic District. The Historic District is located at 12531 Olivet Road in Lusby, Maryland, is shown on the Tax Assessor's Map 45 as Parcel 91, and is zoned as a Historic District overlay. The property was designated a Calvert County Historic District by the Calvert County Board of County Commissioners by a county resolution in 2017 under case number HD 2017-01. The HDC reviewed the application at their regular meeting on Wednesday, November 9th, 2023. Should be 2022. The HDC voted 6-0 to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners and the Planning Commission that the request to remove the designation be denied. The findings on which the HDC recommendation is based are attached along with other supporting documents. In accordance with the zoning ordinance, the HDC will forward the recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners for a joint public hearing with the Planning Commission. At the last week's Board of County Commissioners meeting, the Board of County Commissioners did direct staff to schedule a joint meeting. Conclusions. Staff requests that the Planning Commission review and discuss the application for removal of historic designation for the Kent Millard Heritage House in preparation for a joint public hearing with the Board of County Commissioners. I'm available to take any questions.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
The Board of County Commissioners already voted to have this scheduled?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do we even need to take a vote at this point?
I'm not certain procedure-wise, sir.
Because I'm looking at it, and once they've made the decision to schedule, I think at this point, our only role is maybe if we wanted more information from the applicant. That's about where our role is limited, I think, at this point.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mattingly.
At this point, should we just continue with questions from commissioners and from the applicants if they have anything they'd like to add?
I believe so, but I would caution the applicants that this is really just about the joint public hearing and what we might want at the joint public hearing.
Correct.
Because this isn't actually a hearing on the merits tonight.
Right. We are not making any decisions.
John,
Yeah.
can you get closer to your microphone?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners, questions, comments?
Well, I have a question, Mr. Mattingly. If this is not that type of hearing, are we allowed to ask questions concerning what will be our eventual decision, or should they be reserved for a future meeting?
I think that's a tough one because there is kind of a gap in the procedure here. But I think if there's something missing from the reports that you feel you need from the applicant or from staff, this would be the time to request it before the next hearing. The joint public hearing is what I mean.
In
So
that
if
case,
there's
I have a
something that-
question for Mr. Sperling.
Okay, yes, sir.
Is there any method or way that we have to satisfy the historical commission as to what needs to be done, what they would like to see done with that property, so that their objection might be removed or that they may be placated?
At the Historic District Commission meeting at which this, at the time when this was considered, at the conclusion of this portion of the meeting, the then chair did indicate to the applicant that there was a process and that this was not the recommendation for designation removal was not the final end-all be-all, and that there were processes by which the applicant would be able to continue with any type of plans that she had for the property while retaining the designation.
So the property could still be used for residential purposes, which is what it's zoned for?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It could still be used for those purposes while in the historic district?
Yes, sir. The only thing that the Historic District Commission presumably would not allow would be any activities that would render the property no longer eligible for the designation. In other words, to put it in a position where it no longer met the criterion for which it was initially designated.
Okay. Good.
Mr. Sperling,
Sir.
did the county solicit this application?
The application for removal, sir?
No, the application to put the property in historic district.
The application to be put into a historic district status must come from the property owner.
And what are the benefits to the property owner for getting in a historical district?
Designated Calvert County historic districts are eligible for the historic preservation tax credit, which is 25% of monies expended towards maintaining or enhancing the historic nature of the property.
Have any county funds been expended
No, sir.
toward that?
I'm sorry, sir?
I said, have any county funds been expended for the preservation of that property?
No county funds have been expended for the preservation of this property. To date, no applications have been processed for tax credit with that historic district.
And if the property were to be developed, the property owner would still be required to perform an archaeological survey of the property?
Provided that the method and manner of the proposed development were as consistent with, and that the Historic District Commission decided was consistent with the design guidelines, then that could proceed. It would not necessarily require an archaeological survey. It would largely depend on what ground disturbing activities were proposed. And this would be subject to a Historic District Commission vote on whether or not to approve a historic area work permit for new construction.
And how rare is this property?
I don't know that I want to qualify that. What I would say is that the county commissioners designated as a historic district based on the type of structure that had been on the property and based on the fact that the area was considered largely intact, not having been developed, and an archaeological reflection of over 150 years of African-American occupation in southern Calvert County.
By the same family?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, did the applicants want to speak?
Yes.
Come on up, just please state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Harriet Millard, and I am the applicant for removal of the historic Kent Millard Heritage House Historic District designation. The reason why I'm requesting the removal of the designation is because the archaeological record on the property consisted of Kent Millard Heritage House, the structure, as well as the grounds surrounding the house. The house was demolished, the structure itself was demolished in 2020, and the grounds around the house have been disturbed throughout the years, as well as when the demolishment occurred in 2020. As a result, the designation no longer is in compliance with the code that originally designated the property, designated the historic district, excuse me. I also wanted to correct that it was established as a historic district in 2018, not in 2017. Also, now that the house is gone and the grounds surrounding the house have been disturbed, the designation is in compliance with code to remove, Calvert County Code, to remove the designation. One of the things that was pointed out was that archaeological, and that there was only one archaeological, systematic archaeological investigation on the property, but that's not true. In 2011, at the local level, planning and zoning did an archaeological research and assessment and investigation on the property and found low probability of archaeological resources. In 2017, licensed and professional expert archaeologists from State Highway Administration's Cultural Resources Protection Program came out and did a comprehensive archaeological research and investigation on the property and found nothing of significance. I have a letter from the state, Maryland State Historic Preservation Officer, and she's also the director of Maryland Historical Trust. She says that my property was recorded as an archaeological site and entered on the Maryland Inventory of Historic Properties to memorialize that archaeological research has already been conducted on my property, and nothing of significance was found, and that the purpose of the memorialization is so that duplicate archaeological research efforts will not be done unnecessarily, and that there will not be a necessary expenditure of valuable resources and time. One of the things that was pointed out to me was that there were simultaneous findings that contradicted this by the HDC and the Board of Calvert County Commissioners. But to my knowledge, there are no simultaneous findings, not unless this was done without my permission or my consent. And because the nature and the integrity of the archaeological record of Kent Millard Heritage House has been permanently altered, permanently changed, I'm requesting the removal of the designation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Millard, while you're here, I have one more question.
Sure.
The removal of the house from the property,
Yes.
was that allowed under the original agreement? Can you do that?
It was demolished with Historic District Commission approval.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. That answers my question. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
Just
sir.
one more. Ma'am, this property is historically your family since for how long? Do you know that? Or?
1899.
Okay. So it's your family's properties for that long?
Yes, sir, and I've been trying to build and develop on it for almost 30 years, but I've had stumbling roadblocks, a lot of red tape, and I thought that I would be able to restore this house. That would be my way of getting a house on the property, is to restore it. But that hasn't happened.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. More questions?
Thank you. Was there anybody else in the audience that wanted to speak? Yes, sir. If you could just please state your name.
Sure. Good evening, Demal Millard. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My sister Harriet, I'm also a property owner there for one of the units within the subdivision. It's been clearly stated in terms of the architectural review that has been done. It's been documented. It has been memorialized. I'm just asking in terms of that the body take that into consideration, that we will not open the door for any unintended consequences with any additional excavation happening within that property. One of the key things I do not want the door to be open is for a regulatory taking. And I'm just going to speak to it right now. It's not lost on our family in terms of how marginalized families have been basically handcuffed from being able to exhibit their own constitutional rights as guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, of which we pledged allegiance to this flag. I thank you for your time and listening to me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening. I am Nettie Millard, the sister of Harriet Millard. And, you know, I just want to also mention that because of the fact that, like my sister said, the structure, the house itself is gone. And when we talk about archaeological significance for the family, that archaeological significance in terms of any artifacts and things like that, they were inside of the home. You know, even in terms of the jewelry that I'm wearing of my great-grandmother today. So, you know, from pots and pans. Now, any bones, that they might want to find, they would be at the local church, where my great-grandfather, Harrison Kent, who was blown to bits and torpedoed by the Patuxent Naval Air Base. And what was left of him is now at the local church, I believe it's Eastern Methodist Church, along with my great-grandmother. So I'm just saying that in terms of the grounds itself, in terms of any artifacts, those artifacts were in the home. And so I just want to again ask you to please again consider the removal of the designation, because the main point of that was the house and the structure, which no longer exists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
And Mr. Sperling, how large is this piece of property?
I would have to double check, but I believe it's in the 6-acre range. But I would have to check on that. I'm very likely wrong about that.
Yes,
The size of the acre is 1.5 acre.
1.5.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Ballard, your property that's in this designation is 1.5 acres, but how much, there's other family holdings, how much was the original holding, and is it all still in family hands?
Now, back in 1899, it started as 14 acres.
Okay.
A portion of it has been acquired for Olivet Road. To widen Olivet Road. A portion of it was acquired in 2004, 2003 for by the Board of Education. No, in 19-something for the Board of Education entrance. Sometime before that, it was separated by deed. It belonged to both my dad and his sister. So it was separated by deed, and that portion was acquired by the Board of Calvert County Commissioners. And the portion that I had was the portion that was acquired, that my dad had, and which I inherited. So from 14 acres, it is now, I have 1.5 acres, my brother has 3 and something acres, and a cousin has 2.22 acres. It was a long ride. Did I answer you?
Yes, you did. The other 2 parcels, Mr. Ballard, you could answer that. Are there houses on those other parcels? Or are they empty?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But there, I can say that the intent is known. I know various members of Planning and Zoning and Department of Public Works, and they know of my intent to build on the house. To build on the property.
Right. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ms. Millard, before you step down, you mentioned that the only archaeological survey that was conducted was done by the State Highway Administration archaeologists?
It was done at the local level as well.
And
Planning and Zoning.
The reason State Highway was involved was because of the Olivet Road? Why did the State Highway folks do the archaeological survey on your property?
I believe it was for in compliance. I can't really answer that. To be honest, I would be making up an answer, but I do know that they did come in and perform a comprehensive archaeological research and investigation on the property, and also recorded it to memorialize for the purpose that to make known that it was already done and it would not require duplicate efforts.
Do you know why, Mr. Sperling?
I believe it was done as part of the widening project, sir. However, State Highways archaeologists would not deviate and could not go onto private property without express permission.
So, Mr. Mattingly?
Yes.
do we need a motion to schedule a joint public hearing, or since it's already been scheduled, should we just?
Direct staff to coordinate with the clerk of the BOCC. We can do that by consent. I don't think we need a vote for that.
Okay. Do we have a consensus to direct staff to coordinate?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hearing? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Chris. Next on the agenda, item 10B, proposed expansion of Calvert County's rural legacy areas.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer David. I'm the Rural Planner in Planning and Zoning. Tonight I will be presenting on the Rural Legacy Area Expansion. The Board of County Commissioners requested to convene the original Transferable Development Right TDR Committee established in 2015 to review the county's preservation efforts and the TDR program and to make recommendations for BOCC consideration. Meeting over several months in 2020, the committee developed a package of recommendations designed to improve the TDR program and increase opportunities for land preservation in Calvert County. One of those recommendations was to expand the North Calvert and Calvert Creeks rural legacy areas, with the goal of increasing the number of properties eligible to participate in the program. The expansion focused on properties within the priority preservation area contiguous with the existing rural legacy areas. The proposed expansion received Agricultural Preservation Advisory Board approval on December 6, 2021. Calvert County currently operates under a public-private partnership agreement with the Southern Maryland Resource Conservation and Development Board to administer the Rural Legacy Program. The Rural Legacy Area Expansion proposal was included as part of the Fiscal Year 23 Rural Legacy Program grant application submitted to DNR for review and approval on behalf of the county with BOCC approval. The Rural Legacy Area Expansion proposal received approval from the Board of Public Works on October 8, 2022. Staff requests the Planning Commission review and discuss the proposed Rural Legacy Area Expansion and direct staff to continue the public adoption process by scheduling a joint public hearing. I also have a presentation this evening for you. The purpose of the presentation is to review and discuss the proposed Rural Legacy Area Expansion and to request direction to move forward with the public adoption process. Next slide, please. In 2020, the Board of County Commissioners voted to reconvene the Transferable Development Rights Committee, originally created in 2015, to review the TDR program and make recommendations for program improvements. One of the recommendations made by the committee was to propose an expansion of the rural legacy areas to include all of the designated priority preservation area and increase the number of properties eligible for the program. Next slide, please. The Rural Legacy Program is a state of Maryland land preservation easement program overseen by the Department of Natural Resources and administered by the counties. This program provides funding to preserve large contiguous tracts of land to enhance natural resource, agricultural, forestry, and environmental protection, to support a sustainable land base for natural resource-dependent industries. It creates public-private partnerships between local land trusts and local government. It protects working landscapes critical to the environment and local economies. And it targets the most ecologically valuable properties impacting local waterways and the Chesapeake Bay. Next slide, please. The Rural Legacy Program and the Comprehensive Plan. Since the first comprehensive plan, the county's goals have been to preserve the rural landscape while creating vibrant town centers. The vision of the plan is a landscape dominated by forests and fields and town centers that are attractive, convenient, and interesting places to live, work, and shop. And a primary goal of that plan is to preserve the rural character, prime farmland, contiguous forests, and environmentally sensitive areas. The Rural Legacy Program is an important tool to help reach the comprehensive plan's vision and goals. Next slide, please. So the benefits of the expansion. The expansion improves land preservation mechanisms in Calvert County. It's another tool in the toolbox. By increasing participation in state programs, this leverages state funds and provides additional opportunities for preservation. By expanding the rural legacy areas, more properties will become eligible to apply for rural legacy grant funding. And we want to note that currently the rural legacy areas do not encompass all of Calvert County's priority preservation areas, which have historically been targeted as areas to limit development and focus the county's preservation efforts for planning purposes. This is a map of the existing rural legacy areas. You can see in the north end of the county, colored in the magenta color, is the North Calvert Rural Legacy Area, currently comprised of 1,043 parcels, and it covers 9,554 acres. There's a second area in Calvert, and that is the Calvert Creeks Rural Legacy Area, currently comprised of 2,898 parcels, and it covers 23,705 acres. And that area is shown in the blue in the lower portion of the county. Now, in order to see this in relationship to the priority preservation areas, next slide, please. This is a map of the priority preservation areas. Again, these designated priority preservation areas are those identified as having the greatest potential for maintaining a viable level of agricultural or forestry production. And in the comprehensive plan, these areas are reserved for farming and natural resource related uses. Most of the residential growth in the county is targeted away from these areas. So those priority preservation areas are shown in green. North Beach and Chesapeake Beach, of course, are in orange in the top northern section of the county, and the town centers are shown in purple. Next slide, please. So this is a map of the proposed expansion. Okay. Just as the previous slide showing the existing rural legacy areas, the magenta color in the northern end of the county is the North Calvert Rural Legacy Area. The blue is the same as the previous slide in the Calvert Creeks area. And the orange colored areas are what is the expansion designated as the expansion area. The North Calvert expansion would include 269 parcels covering 1,633 acres. And the proposed expansion in the Calvert Creeks area would include 1,868 parcels covering 15,930 acres. This proposed expansion will increase the rural legacy eligible area in Calvert County by more than 50%. Next slide. At this time, staff requests that the Planning Commission review and discuss the proposed expansion and move the adoption process forward by directing staff to schedule a joint public hearing. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners?
You mentioned that this would allow access to rural legacy funding.
That's right, sir.
Is that available?
Yes, it is available.
Okay, what is the status of that now, do you know?
I know some of that status, yes. We work, as I mentioned, we work with Southern Maryland RC&D, and they had had a application submitted for this coming year. and they were awarded funds for the preservation of properties in North Calvert and in Calvert Creeks this past fiscal year, and they are currently in the process of applying for funds for fiscal year 2024.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody from the public that wanted to speak on this item? Or signed up on Zoom? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we recommend that this be scheduled for a joint public hearing.
Motion by
Second.
Commissioner
Second.
Tui and second by Commissioner Kernan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Mhm.
Next on the agenda is item 11, items of interest. These items are for informational purposes only. No action is required. We do have the site plan list and the subdivision list. Is there any discussion before we move on? Or questions from the board?
Hearing none.
All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to item 12, public comment. At this time, we will open the meeting up for public comment according to the Calvert County Ordinance Number 51-21. The Planning Commission Chair will first request comments from those attending in person and then those attending virtually or by telephone. By telephone, you should call in advance, toll-free, at 888-475-4499. The meeting ID number is 858-5579-4151, and the passcode, if asked, is the #. Speakers, whether in person or participating by phone or virtually, will be limited to 2 minutes as individuals and 5 minutes if they are designated to represent a group or organization. Is there anyone in person that would like to comment? For public comment? Is there anyone virtually?
No.
Madam Chair, we do not have any speakers.
All right. Well, before we move on to item adjournment, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge Commissioner Jones. This is his last meeting with us due to his term expiring at the end of the month, and I want to extend my sincere gratitude to you for your honorable service and your contributions as both a member and as a former chair of the Planning Commission. Thank you for your dedication to both this board and to the citizens of Calvert County. We appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Can I say something?
Please do.
Just, I just want to say thank you to the board members. Each one of you are extremely professional. It's been an honor to work with all of you that are sitting here and some that aren't sitting here anymore. And for all the times that I didn't say thank you to staff, I want to say thank you to each one of you. Thank you for the hard work. And I don't want to say everyone's names. I know I'll forget somebody, but thank you so much for all your hard work because it has not gone unnoticed, and I greatly appreciate you. And thank you, Calvert. And to the people that complained, thank you. And to the people that didn't complain, thank you, because they took the time to come in here and let us know how they felt, and I always appreciated that. And out of the 6 years that I've been on here, 4 was either chair or co-chair. And I did 2 things. We weren't doing the Pledge of Allegiance. We did that. I took that on. And the other thing was we allowed people to talk and make public comment before it was a rule of Calvert County government. So, and I'm glad we did that together. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. It's been a pleasure serving with you.
Thank you.
Our next Planning Commission scheduled meeting is March the 15th, 2023. And with that, we'll move on to item 13, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Kernan, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Tui. All those in favor?
Aye.